The room is quiet now, except for a small hum in the distance. Maybe a fan turns slowly. Maybe the house has finally settled. Outside, the night air rests against the windows. Streetlights glow without effort. Nothing is asking you to hurry anymore. You have done enough for today, even if your mind says otherwise. Your body knows the truth. You may be lying in bed, eyes tired but still open, thoughts moving like loose papers in the wind. Plans from tomorrow drift in. Moments from years ago return uninvited. The mind does this when it is weary. Please know, this is not a failure. It is a sign of a sensitive, caring heart, a mind that has carried much. In the old teachings of the Buddha, there is a quiet understanding of this. The mind wanders when it is burdened, like a lake stirred by many footsteps. It cannot reflect the moon clearly yet, not because it is broken, only because it needs stillness, only because it needs rest. Tonight, there is nothing you must solve, nothing you need to improve, nothing you need to become. The Buddha once spoke gently of letting go, of loosening the grip of restless thoughts, as one might loosen a clenched hand, not by force, not by judgment, but by kindness and patience. Here, in this moment, you are allowed to soften, allowed to be unfinished. As you listen, you do not need to concentrate. You do not need to remember anything. The words will come and go, like footsteps passing on a distant path. You may follow them, or not. In the Satipatthana teachings, there is a simple reminder. Awareness itself can be restful. Just knowing you are breathing, just knowing you are here, is already enough. Over the next hours, these Zen stories and gentle reflections will move at an unhurried pace. They are not lessons to master. They are places to rest your attention, like leaning against a warm tree. Some stories may stay with you, others may drift away quickly. Both are perfectly fine. Your only task tonight, if we can call it a task, is to listen kindly. Let the shoulders drop a little. Let the jaw unclench. Let the breath find its own rhythm. Sleep does not need to be chased. It comes when conditions are gentle, like a cat finding a quiet corner. So settle in, just as you are. The night is long and patient. There is plenty of time. And if you'd like, feel free to share where you're listening from tonight. Story 1. The lamp left on after midnight. The office building was finally dark, except for one small lamp near the window. Its light rested gently on empty desks and quiet screens. An older man remained seated there, hands folded, shoulders heavy, mind still carrying the day's unfinished weight. Deadlines echoed softly inside him. Words spoken too quickly replayed again. Numbers and names drifted without rest. He had stayed late for years like this, believing effort alone could bring peace, believing rest must be earned completely. One night, as rain tapped the glass, he noticed the lamp's steady glow. It did not hurry. It did not strain. It simply offered light, without asking who deserved it, without concern for tomorrow's tasks. The man remembered an old teaching, spoken long ago in gentle tones. The Buddha spoke of right effort as balance, not tightening the mind like a clenched fist, not letting it fall into neglect, but holding it like a bird. Softly, he leaned back in his chair. For the first time that night, he allowed the breath to slow. Thoughts still came and went, but he did not chase them anymore. He let them pass like cars on a distant road. The lamp remained steady. The rain softened into a quiet rhythm. Something inside him loosened slightly. When he finally stood to leave, He turned the lamp off gently, as if thanking it for its patience. Walking into the night, he felt no sudden relief, only a small easing. Enough for now. And sometimes, that is the teaching. Peace begins when effort becomes kind. Rest arrives when striving finally bows. Story 2. The cup that was already full. Morning light filled a small kitchen. Steam rose from a simple cup of tea. An older woman stood quietly by the counter. Her phone lay face down beside her. Messages waited, unanswered. Responsibilities lined up patiently. She poured tea until it brimmed, then watched it spill onto the counter. Warm drops traced slow paths downward. She sighed, feeling familiar frustration. No matter how much she did, there was always more to hold. Her thoughts raced ahead of her hands. Work meetings, family worries, old regrets that returned without warning. She remembered a teaching from long ago. A monk once spoke of the overflowing cup. Wisdom cannot enter what refuses space. The Buddha spoke gently of letting go, not as loss, but as making room, like setting something down after carrying it far. She wiped the counter slowly. Each movement became unhurried. Each breath softened her shoulders. She poured a second cup, stopping before it reached the edge. The tea rested calmly inside. She lifted it with both hands. The warmth traveled into her palms. For a moment, nothing else mattered. The phone remained silent. The world could wait a little longer. This moment belonged to her. She sipped, eyes half closed. The mind did not empty completely, but it stopped overflowing. And in that quiet pause, she understood the teaching again. Peace enters where space is allowed. Story 3. The path behind the office park. Behind a busy office park, there was a narrow dirt path. Few people noticed it anymore. An exhausted man found it one evening. After another long day of meetings, his head felt crowded and loud. He walked without direction at first. Tie loosened, steps uneven, mind replaying every small mistake. The path curved gently behind trees. Traffic noise faded with each step. Leaves shifted softly underfoot. He remembered the Buddha's words about walking meditation and awareness, simply knowing each step as it is. He tried it hesitantly, left foot touching earth, right foot following without rush. Thoughts still appeared, but they lost their sharp edges. They became quieter companions. A bird crossed the path briefly. The sky deepened into evening blue. Breath and movement began to match. He realized he was not going anywhere special. There was no destination waiting. Only the walking itself mattered. In the Sutta teachings, the Buddha spoke of freedom in simplicity, release found in ordinary moments. By the time the path ended, his shoulders had dropped. His jaw no longer clenched. He stood still for a moment, listening to the quiet he had uncovered. It had been there all along. The teaching lingered with him. You do not escape the mind by force. You outwalk it with patience. Story 4. The unsent letter. Late at night, a woman sat at her desk. An unsent letter glowed on the screen. Words waited, heavy with feeling. She had rewritten it many times. Anger softened into sadness. Sadness turned into quiet longing. Family tensions weighed on her heart. Things said years ago still echoed. Apologies felt complicated and late. She remembered a teaching on speech. The Buddha spoke of words that heal, words true, gentle, and timely. She read the letter again slowly. Her breath shortened at certain lines. Her chest tightened. then eased. She asked nothing of the moment. She simply noticed what was present. This was mindfulness, just as taught. Eventually, she closed the laptop. The letter remained unsent. Yet something had shifted within her. She realized not all actions require completion. Some intentions soften simply by being seen. Some burdens lighten through awareness alone. In the quiet, she placed a hand on her heart. She offered herself silent kindness, just as the metta teachings suggest. Sleep came gently that night, not because everything was resolved, but because she stopped forcing resolution, and the quiet teaching remained. Peace grows when compassion leads, even when answers wait. Story 5. The Broken Watch. An old watch lay on the bedside table. Its ticking had stopped long ago. Still, a man kept it nearby. It had belonged to his father. Time seemed different when it worked. Days felt slower then, kinder. Now nights stretched endlessly. Worries measured hours instead of minutes. Sleep arrived late, if at all. He held the watch gently. It did not judge the passing night. It did not rush the morning. The Buddha once spoke of time as perception. Suffering grows when we grasp moments tightly. Release comes when we loosen that grip. He set the watch down. The room felt quiet and open. The future did not press so hard. Without counting minutes, his breath found its own rhythm. The body remembered how to rest, and the teaching stayed with him. Time softens when grasping ends. Rest arrives without clocks. Story 6. The chair by the window. A wooden chair sat by the window, paint worn smooth by years of use. An elderly man returned to it nightly. Work worries followed him home. Numbers lingered behind closed eyes. Responsibility felt endless. He sat without agenda. The Buddha taught sitting as arriving. Nothing else required. Moonlight touched the floor quietly. The chair held him without complaint. Breath moved like a calm tide. Thoughts came and left again. He did not chase them tonight. He let them pass kindly. The teaching whispered itself. You are supported. Even now, rest where you already are. Story 7. The garden hose. At dusk, a woman watered her small garden. The hose curved lazily across the grass. Daylight softened into evening gold. Her mind replayed old conversations, things she wished she had said, moments she wished she could redo. Water flowed steadily. Plants received without judgment. Nothing hurried the process. She remembered a teaching on acceptance. The Buddha spoke of things as they are. Resistance creates the ache. She slowed her movements. Each plant shimmered briefly. Regret loosened its hold, and the teaching settled in. What is nourished grows, even peace. Story 8. The elevator ride down. An office elevator descended slowly. A tired man leaned against the wall. The day felt heavier than usual. He noticed his breath rising shallow, jaw tight, shoulders lifted, the body holding unspoken strain. The Buddha taught awareness of the body, noticing without fixing, knowing without judging. He softened his stance, feet grounded, breath deepened. The elevator hummed quietly. By the time doors opened, his mind felt less crowded. Nothing changed, yet everything eased. The teaching remained gentle. Awareness lightens the load, moment by moment. Story 9. The night train passing. A train passed in the distance. Its sound long and low. A man listened from his bed. Thoughts rode the sound outward. Worries followed, then faded. The rhythm soothed his chest. In the Nikayas, sound itself can anchor awareness. a doorway into calm. He let the train carry his thoughts away. Sleep followed quietly behind, and the teaching whispered, "You may rest while life moves. Nothing is required of you." Story 10. The last light in the house. One light remained on downstairs. A woman paused at the top step. The day had been long and full. She felt guilt for unfinished tasks, for words left unsaid, for plans postponed again. The Buddha spoke of contentment, knowing when enough is enough, stopping without blame. She turned off the light gently. Darkness welcomed her kindly. The house breathed with her. In bed, her body softened. The mind followed slowly. Rest arrived without effort, and the quiet teaching remained. Enough has already happened. Now, rest. Story 11. The quiet sink after dishes. The kitchen was finally clean. Plates stacked neatly. Water stopped running in the sink. A man stood there a moment longer, hands resting on the counter, breath still catching from the day. Work emails echoed in his head. Unfinished tasks tugged softly. Tomorrow waited without patience. The house around him felt still. Only the refrigerator hummed. Only the clock moved gently forward. He remembered a simple teaching. The Buddha spoke of finishing fully, not rushing into the next thing. So he stayed, feeling the cool counter, listening to the quiet after effort. The body began to soften. The mind followed. Slowly. Nothing more was required. He turned off the light. Darkness felt kind, not empty. Sleep arrived like a friend, and the teaching rested with him. Completion includes rest. Even sinks deserve silence. Story 12. The long commute home. Headlights stretched endlessly ahead. Traffic moved without rhythm. A woman gripped the steering wheel gently. Her shoulders felt tight. Her thoughts replayed conversations. Regret whispered familiar lines. She remembered a teaching on patience. The Buddha spoke of time unfolding naturally. Forcing only deepens suffering. She loosened her grip. Breath slowed at red lights. The road felt less personal. Cars passed. Minutes passed. Tension thinned. By the time she arrived home, the day felt farther away. Sleep waited quietly, and the teaching stayed. You arrive when you stop pushing. The road knows the way. Story 13. The shoes by the door. Shoes rested neatly by the door. A man paused before removing his coat. The day clung to him still. Work pressure pressed his chest. Old comparisons stirred jealousy. Why others seemed ahead. He remembered the Buddha's words. Comparison breeds dissatisfaction. Each path unfolds differently. He slipped off his shoes slowly, feeling the floor beneath his feet, returning to himself. The house welcomed him. No competition lived here, only presence. The teaching softened his mind. You are not behind. You are here. Story 14. The late email draft. A glowing screen filled the room. An unsent email waited. Words sharp, then softened. A woman reread it again. Heart beating too fast. Mind seeking control. She remembered a teaching on intention. The Buddha spoke of cooling heated thoughts. Delay can be wisdom. She saved the draft. Closed the laptop gently. Let the moment pass. Sleep came easier. Nothing urgent remained. And the teaching whispered, not every thought needs action. Peace grows in restraint. Story 15. The grocery line. A man stood in a long line. Cart half full. Patience wearing thin. Irritation rose quietly. Time felt wasted. The body tensed. He remembered mindfulness of feeling, not pushing it away. not feeding it either. He breathed, feet grounded. The line moved eventually. Later, in bed, that same patience returned, and the teaching lingered. Waiting is not lost time. It teaches softness. Story 16. The phone left face down. A phone rested face down on the table. Notifications silenced. A woman sat quietly nearby. Habit urged her to check. Control whispered promises. Rest resisted gently. She remembered the Buddha's teaching. Freedom grows when craving loosens. Even small cravings. She left the phone untouched. Breath deepened. The room widened. Sleep followed naturally. And the teaching remained. You may set things down. They will wait. Story 17. The folding chair at sunset. A folding chair opened in the yard. Grass cool beneath bare feet. Sun lowering slowly. A man felt exhaustion settle. Years of effort pressing down. Achievement never enough. The Buddha spoke of contentment, knowing when striving ends, seeing what is already complete. He watched the sky change, did nothing else. That night, sleep felt earned differently, and the teaching rested gently. Enough is visible now. Look without reaching. Story 18. The old photo album. An album opened on the bed. Photos yellowed with time. Memories stirred quietly. A woman felt regret surface. Choices questioned. Paths not taken. She remembered impermanence. The Buddha taught change as truth. No moment held forever. She closed the album softly, placed it beside her. The past loosened its grip, and the teaching whispered, "You lived what you could. Rest now." Story 19. The morning alarm set early. An alarm was set earlier than needed. A man lay awake anyway, mind racing ahead. Control disguised as preparation. Sleep sacrificed for safety. The Buddha spoke of trust. Life unfolds beyond planning. Rest is also preparation. He turned the alarm off. Breath slowed. Sleep returned kindly, and the teaching stayed. Trust the night. It prepares you too. Story 20. The window left slightly open. A window remained slightly open. Cool air drifted in. Curtains moved gently. A woman lay listening. Thoughts thinning. Body heavy and warm. She remembered the Buddha's final tone. Gentle encouragement toward release. Nothing more to hold. She let the night pass through her. Breath and air moving together. Sleep arrived without boundary, and the teaching dissolved softly. Let life move through you. Nothing is missing now. Story 21. The clock that lost its voice. The bedroom was dim and familiar. A clock sat on the dresser. Silent now. Its ticking had stopped sometime during the night. A man lay listening for it out of habit. The absence felt strange at first, almost unsettling, like missing footsteps. For years, that clock had spoken loudly, counting seconds, measuring pressure. It reminded him of meetings ahead, of age, of promises he feared he had missed. Tonight, there was only quiet. No counting, no pushing forward. His mind reached for worries automatically. Deadlines surfaced. Old regrets lined up patiently. But without the ticking, they lost their sharp rhythm. They drifted more slowly. He remembered a teaching from the Dhammapada. The Buddha spoke of time shaped by the mind. Suffering grows when we race ahead. He placed a hand on his chest. Breathing became easier to notice. Each inhale arrived without announcement. Each exhale left without asking permission. The body seemed relieved, as if released from supervision. He thought of how often he measured his worth by progress. Minutes filled, hours justified. Yet here, in the quiet, nothing needed tracking, nothing needed proof. Sleep hovered nearby, patient. It did not require readiness, only permission. The silent clock rested peacefully, doing nothing perfectly, teaching without words. And the teaching settled gently. Life does not count you, it carries you. Story 22. The half-folded laundry. Laundry lay half-folded on the couch. Soft fabric piled in calm colors. A woman stood nearby. Unsure. She had planned to finish earlier, but the day slipped away again. Energy faded before intention. A familiar voice stirred inside. You should do more. You should finish. Her shoulders tightened slightly. The body remembered this tone well. Pressure disguised as responsibility. She recalled a teaching from the Nikayas. The Buddha spoke of skillful action. Not all effort brings peace. She sat beside the laundry, feeling its warmth. Clothes clean. Already useful. She folded one piece slowly, then another, then stopped. The rest could wait. The world would not collapse. Nothing essential was threatened. Her breath deepened naturally. The room felt kinder, less demanding. Later, in bed, her mind returned briefly to the couch, then softened again. The teaching came quietly. Completion is not perfection. Rest is part of care. Story 23. The empty mug by the sink. An empty mug rested by the sink. A ring of tea marked its bottom. Steam had long since faded. A man noticed it as he passed. The day had drained him completely. Words felt heavy in his mouth. He leaned against the counter, eyes closing briefly. Thoughts tugging from every direction. Work responsibilities, family expectations, unspoken disappointments. He remembered a gentle teaching. The Buddha spoke of emptiness kindly, not lack, but openness. He rinsed the mug slowly. Water moved without urgency. The sound soothed something inside. The mug did not complain about being empty. It did not cling to the past warmth. It simply waited. He placed it upside down, letting it rest, letting himself rest too. That night, sleep came quietly, not full of dreams, just deep and wide. And the teaching lingered. You do not need filling. You need space. Story 24. The parking lot at dusk. The parking lot glowed under soft lights. Cars rested after long journeys. A woman sat inside her own, unmoving. She had arrived home, yet something kept her there, a heaviness she could not name. The engine ticked as it cooled. Her hands remained on the wheel. The day still clung to her skin. Meetings replayed, words misunderstood. Moments she wished to redo. She remembered a teaching on transition. The Buddha spoke of mindful pauses, moments between moments. She stayed a little longer, feeling the seat beneath her, feeling the breath return. The parking lot remained quiet. No one demanded movement. No one watched. Eventually, she stepped out. The air felt fresh, lighter than expected. Inside, sleep arrived gently. The pause had done its work, and the teaching whispered, arrival includes stopping. Honor the space between. Story 25. The old receipt in the wallet. A worn receipt slipped from a wallet, creased and faded. A reminder of years ago. A man picked it up slowly. Money worries stirred immediately. Old mistakes resurfaced. He had replayed those choices often, judging himself harshly, wishing for different outcomes. He remembered a teaching on cause and effect. The Buddha spoke of learning, not blame. The past teaches, not punishes. He placed the receipt back, gently. The wallet closed without ceremony. The moment passed. Lying in bed, the weight felt lighter, the lesson already learned, and the teaching settled softly. You are not your errors. You are their understanding. Story 26. The shower running late. Water ran longer than usual. Steam filled the bathroom softly. A woman stood under it quietly. The day had been loud. Her thoughts louder still. Tension held deep in her back. She remembered the Buddha's words. Awareness can be soothing, even in simple acts. She felt the water touch her shoulders. Warmth easing tight places. Breath slowing naturally. Nothing else existed there. No future. No past. Later, sleep felt easy. The body had been heard, and the teaching flowed gently. Presence washes the mind, without effort. Story 27. The chair left empty. An empty chair sat across the room. Light touched its arm softly. A man noticed it from bed. It reminded him of conversations missed. People gone. Words left unsaid. Sadness arrived quietly. Not sharp, just heavy. He remembered a teaching on impermanence. The Buddha spoke with tenderness. Everything changes, including pain. He breathed with the feeling, did not push it away, did not hold it tightly. The chair remained empty. The room remained safe. Sleep followed gently, and the teaching whispered, loss is part of love. Rest still belongs to you. Story 28. The last message, not sent. A message sat unsent on the phone. A man stared at it in the dark. Words meant to fix something. Control hid inside good intentions. Fear pressed beneath concern. The need to be understood. He remembered a teaching from the Abhaya Sutta. Speech should be beneficial and timely. He set the phone down. The message remained unsent. The night opened wider. Sleep arrived without explanation, and the teaching stayed quietly. Silence can be kindness, especially to yourself. Story 29. The laundry machine at rest. The washing machine stopped spinning. Silence followed its work. A woman noticed the stillness. She often felt the same, always moving, rarely resting. The Buddha spoke of cycles, action and rest together, neither complete alone. She left the clothes for morning, let the machine rest, let herself rest too, and the teaching hummed softly. Stillness is not laziness, it is balance. Story 30. The breath before sleep. The room was dark and familiar. A man lay quietly on his back. One breath followed another. Thoughts came and faded. Less convincing now, less urgent. He remembered the Buddha's final encouragement. Attend gently, release kindly. Breath softened. The body followed, and the teaching dissolved into sleep. Nothing more is needed. Good rest is already here. Story 31. The porch light left on. The porch light glowed softly against the night, a steady circle of warmth on quiet ground. A man noticed it through the window. He had meant to turn it off earlier. Another small task left undone. Guilt tried to rise, as it often did. The day had been full of expectations. Work demands layered upon old habits. Always finishing, always correcting. He sat down instead of standing. The chair welcomed his weight. The body asked nothing more. Outside, moths moved slowly through the light. They came and went without urgency. No one chased them away. He remembered a teaching from the Buddha. The mind finds peace when it stops grasping. Even small grasping matters. The porch light did not worry about efficiency. It did not question its purpose. It simply offered light, then rested. His breath lengthened. The shoulders eased downward. The room felt larger somehow. He realized the light was not a mistake. It was a signal of safety, a quiet welcome. When sleep finally came, the light still shone outside. Nothing felt unfinished anymore, and the teaching settled gently. Not everything needs correction. Some things are already kind. Story 32. The open notebook. A notebook lay open on the desk. Blank lines waited patiently. A woman sat nearby. Tired. She had planned to write, to organize her thoughts, to solve what felt tangled, but the words did not come easily. The mind felt crowded. The heart felt heavy. She stared at the empty page. It did not demand answers. It did not rush her. She remembered a teaching from the Majjhima Nikaya. The Buddha spoke of not forcing insight. Wisdom unfolds when the mind softens. She closed the notebook gently, letting the pen rest, letting herself rest too. The blankness no longer felt accusing. It felt open, like a field at dawn. Later, lying in bed, the mind loosened its grip. Sleep arrived quietly, and the teaching whispered, "You do not have to know, not tonight." Story 33. The slow ceiling fan. A ceiling fan turned slowly overhead. Its rhythm, steady and kind. A man watched it from bed. The day had been fast. Decisions piled upon decisions. Control had felt necessary everywhere. Now, the fan asked nothing. It moved at its own pace, unaffected by urgency. His breath began to match it, in and out, without instruction. He remembered a teaching from the Sayutta Nikaya. When conditions are calm, the mind naturally follows. Thoughts drifted like soft clouds, still present, no longer heavy. The fan continued its slow turning. No destination, no hurry. Sleep came quietly beside him, and the teaching stayed. You do not need to drive the moment. Let it move you. Story 34. The grocery receipt revisited. A grocery receipt lay on the table, longer than expected. Numbers adding up silently. A woman glanced at it again. Money worries stirred. Old fears returned easily. She felt the familiar tightening, the urge to calculate, the need to control outcomes. She remembered a teaching on sufficiency. The Buddha spoke of contentment. Enough is a state of mind. She folded the receipt once, then again, until it became small. The food was already home. The body would be fed. The night would pass. Later, sleep felt possible again, and the teaching rested softly. You have what you need now. Let the rest wait. Story 35. The empty hallway. A hallway stretched quietly between rooms. Lights dimmed. Shadows gentle. A man walked through it slowly. Everyone else already asleep. The house breathing softly. He often felt alone at night. Thoughts grew louder then. Regrets found space to speak. Tonight, the hallway felt different. Not empty, just quiet. He remembered a teaching on solitude. The Buddha spoke of being alone without loneliness. Presence fills the space. His footsteps softened. The floor cooled beneath him. The mind followed. Back in bed. Sleep arrived without resistance, and the teaching lingered. Quiet is not absence. It is peace, waiting. Story 36. The cooling tea. A cup of tea cooled on the nightstand. Steam barely visible now. A woman noticed it before sleep. She had brewed it with intention, hoping warmth would calm her, hoping something external would help. But time had passed. The tea cooled naturally. No effort required. She remembered a teaching on impermanence. The Buddha spoke of change as gentle truth. Nothing needs holding. She sipped anyway. Cool. Still pleasant. Different. Not wrong. Sleep followed easily, and the teaching settled in. Peace changes form. Receive it kindly. Story 37. The jacket hung up. A jacket hung by the door. Pockets still heavy. The day still inside it. A man removed it slowly, feeling its weight leave his shoulders. Muscles releasing. Work stress lingered briefly, then softened, then faded. He remembered a teaching on letting go. The Buddha spoke of setting burdens down, even imagined ones. He hung the jacket carefully, as if honoring the effort it held, as if thanking himself. Later, in bed, the body rested fully, and the teaching whispered, "You may set today aside. It has been enough." Story 38. The sound of rain returning. Rain returned quietly in the night. Soft tapping against the roof. A familiar sound. A woman listened from bed. Thoughts slowed. The body softened. She remembered a teaching from the Nikayas. Natural sounds anchor awareness. They ask nothing. Rain did not hurry the ground. It simply arrived, then passed. Her breath followed the rhythm. Sleep followed the breath. And the teaching flowed gently. Let the world soothe you. You do not need to respond. Story 39. The light in the refrigerator. The refrigerator light clicked on briefly. Midnight curiosity. A man stood quietly. He was not hungry, just restless, seeking something unnamed. The light revealed familiar shelves. Nothing new, nothing missing. He remembered a teaching on craving. The Buddha spoke of knowing desire, not feeding it blindly. He closed the door gently. Darkness returned kindly. Back in bed. Sleep arrived soon after. And the teaching stayed. What you seek may already be present. Rest and see. Story 40. The space between breaths. The room was quiet and dark. A woman lay still, listening inward. Breath moved softly. In, out, between them. A small pause appeared, gentle and open. She remembered a simple teaching. The Buddha spoke of awareness resting naturally. No effort required. She let herself rest there, between breaths, between thoughts. Sleep arrived without announcement, and the teaching dissolved into silence. Peace lives in the pause. Let it carry you. Story 41. The mail left unopened. The mail rested quietly on the small table. Envelopes stacked neatly. Edges worn. A man passed them more than once. He knew what some might contain. Bills, notices, things that asked for attention. All day, he had managed expectations. Other people's needs came first. By night, his energy felt thin. The envelopes waited without movement. They did not chase him. They did not accuse. He sat down nearby instead, letting his back rest against the chair, letting the body speak first. A familiar tension lived in his chest. The need to control outcomes. The fear of being late again. He remembered a teaching from the Buddha. Anxiety grows when the future is carried early. The present moment is lighter. He breathed in slowly. The envelopes remained still. Nothing worsened by waiting. Eventually, he turned off the light. The mail stayed where it was. The night felt gentler for it. In bed, his thoughts slowed. Sleep arrived in quiet waves, and the teaching settled softly. Not everything needs opening tonight. Rest is also responsible. Story 42. The quiet bathroom mirror. The bathroom light glowed softly. A woman stood before the mirror. Her face looked tired, but kind. She leaned closer, studying small lines. Time had left gentle marks. Stories written without words. Judgment tried to appear. Should have done more. Should have been different. She noticed the tone and softened it. The Buddha taught right view. Seeing without harshness. She met her own eyes. Held the gaze gently. Nothing needed fixing. The mirror reflected breathing. A living face. A life still unfolding. She turned off the light slowly. Darkness felt like a blanket. Sleep came with ease. And the teaching remained. Look with kindness. You are already enough. Story 43. The hallway clock at night. A clock ticked faintly in the hallway. Its sound distant and steady. A man listened from bed. The ticking once unsettled him. Each second felt counted. Each moment pressured. Tonight felt different. The sound blended with the dark. Less sharp. More spacious. He remembered a teaching from the Sutta Nikaya. Mindfulness transforms experience. Not by removal, but by knowing. The clock was not chasing time. It was simply marking presence. One sound among many. His breath slowed to match it. Thoughts followed suit. Sleep edged closer. And the teaching whispered, what you resist tightens. What you accept softens. Story 44. The couch before bed. The couch held the shape of the day. A woman sank into it gently. Lights dimmed around her. She had planned to do more. One more task. One more message. But her body disagreed. Fatigue spoke clearly now. No explanation needed. She remembered the Buddha's compassion. Listening to the body is wisdom. Ignoring it brings suffering. She rested her head back, closed her eyes briefly. The room stayed quiet. When she finally stood, the movement felt unforced. Sleep came easily after, and the teaching rested with her. The body knows when to stop. Trust it. Story 45. The window reflection. A window reflected a dim room. A man noticed his outline in the glass. Familiar, yet softened by night. He often saw himself as unfinished, always improving, always behind. Tonight, the reflection looked calm, still present, still breathing. He remembered a teaching on self-view. The Buddha spoke of loosening identity, not clinging to fixed ideas. The reflection shifted as he moved. Never solid, never fixed. He turned away gently. The image no longer needed attention. Sleep followed naturally, and the teaching lingered. You are not a story to complete. You are a moment to live. Story 46. The dishwasher's final click. The dishwasher hummed softly, then clicked, signaling rest. A woman noticed the sound. It reminded her of long days. Constant movement, rare stillness. The machine had done its work. Now it rested. No guilt attached. She remembered a teaching on right effort. Knowing when effort ends. Knowing when rest begins. She turned off the kitchen light. Darkness filled the space kindly. In bed, sleep came without struggle, and the teaching whispered, work and rest belong together. Honor both. Story 47. The empty street outside. The street outside lay empty. Streetlights spaced evenly apart. A man watched from his window. During the day, this road felt rushed and loud. Now it felt wide and forgiving. He thought of his own pace, often hurried, rarely spacious. He remembered a teaching on the middle way, neither pushing nor collapsing, moving with balance. The empty street reflected possibility. There was room to slow, room to breathe. Sleep followed quietly, and the teaching stayed gently. You may choose a gentler pace, even now. Story 48. The bedside book, left closed. A book rested unopened by the bed. Its cover familiar, its pages unread tonight. A woman felt the urge to open it, to learn one more thing, to prepare for tomorrow. But her eyes felt heavy. The body asked for rest. She remembered a teaching from the Kalama Sutta. Wisdom comes through direct knowing. Rest is knowing too. She left the book untouched, turned off the lamp. Sleep welcomed her easily, and the teaching settled softly. Not all learning uses words. Some comes through rest. Story 49. The gentle stretch before sleep. A man stretched slowly beside the bed, arms overhead, spine lengthening, tension released bit by bit. No forcing, no counting. He remembered mindfulness of the body. The Buddha taught awareness through sensation, listening instead of commanding. He lay down afterward, muscles warm, breath easy. Sleep arrived quietly, and the teaching remained. Care begins with attention. The body responds. Story 50. The last thought fading. The room held steady darkness. A woman lay still. One thought lingered. Then another breath came. The thought softened. Its edges blurred. She remembered a final teaching. Let thoughts come and go, like clouds passing the moon. She did nothing more. Sleep did the rest, and the teaching dissolved completely. Nothing needs holding now. Rest has arrived. Story 51. The shoes, left by the bed. The shoes rested quietly by the bed, placed there earlier, without much thought. Now they seemed to belong to the night. A man lay nearby, watching the ceiling. His feet felt tired in a deep way, the kind that sleep alone could understand. All day, he had moved carefully, trying to do things the right way, trying not to disappoint anyone. Even now, his mind rehearsed tomorrow, what might be asked of him, what he should prepare in advance. His eyes drifted toward the shoes again. They waited without concern. No urgency lived in their shape. He remembered a gentle teaching. The Buddha spoke of laying burdens down, even the invisible ones. The shoes had carried him all day, through effort and noise, through quiet moments too. Now they rested, not proud of the distance traveled, not worried about the next step. He placed his attention on his feet, feeling their warmth under the blanket, letting them soften completely. Breath slowed on its own. The body followed without instruction. The mind stopped arguing for a while. Tomorrow could wait beside the shoes. Tonight belonged to stillness. Nothing more was required. And the teaching came softly. When the body rests, the path continues on its own. Story 52. The quiet streetlight. A single streetlight glowed outside the window. Its light, steady and patient. A woman noticed it while lying awake. Cars had passed earlier. Voices too. Now the street was empty. Her thoughts were not. They drifted from memory to worry, from planning to regret. She felt the familiar tightening, the wish to fix everything at once, the wish to be finished with uncertainty. The streetlight did not share this urgency. It did not question its purpose. It simply illuminated what was near. She remembered a teaching from long ago. The Buddha spoke of right attention, seeing only what is present. The light did not reach the whole street, only a small circle of clarity, and that was enough. Her breath settled as she watched. The edges of her thoughts softened, not gone, but less demanding. She let the light do its work and allowed herself to do less. Sleep approached quietly, without explanation, and the teaching rested within her. You only need to see this moment. The rest will come later. Story 53. The cooling engine. A car engine ticked softly outside, cooling after a long drive. A man listened from the doorway. The day had carried him far. Work demands, family expectations. His shoulders still held the road, jaw tight from focus, mind slow to arrive home. The engine released heat gradually. No rush, no complaint. He remembered a teaching on patience. The Buddha spoke of natural unwinding. Some things cannot be forced. He stayed a moment longer, listening, breathing. The engine quieted completely. The night received it kindly. Later, in bed, his own body followed, and the teaching whispered, after effort, allow cooling. Rest restores what striving spends. Story 54. The stack of clean towels. Clean towels lay folded on a chair, soft and warm from the dryer. A woman brushed her hand across them. They smelled faintly of soap. Simple, comforting. She often rushed past such moments, always moving to the next task, always planning efficiency. Tonight, she paused, feeling the fabric, feeling the warmth linger. She remembered a teaching on gratitude. The Buddha spoke of noticing the ordinary. Joy lives quietly there. She carried the towels slowly, placed them where they belonged, letting the movement be enough. Later, sleep came easily, and the teaching remained. Peace grows in small acknowledgements. Nothing extra is needed. Story 55. The half-open door. A bedroom door stood half open, light from the hallway spilling in. A man lay watching the line it made. He considered closing it, then stopped. The opening felt gentle. The day had been full of decisions, each one draining in its own way. Control had felt necessary everywhere. This door did not demand choice. It rested between open and closed. Comfortable there, he remembered the middle way. The Buddha spoke of balance, not extremes. The door breathed with the house, air moving quietly. His thoughts followed suit, neither pushing nor pulling. Sleep came softly, and the teaching settled. You do not need to choose everything. Some things rest naturally in between. Story 56. The forgotten glass of water. A glass of water sat untouched, condensation forming slowly. A woman noticed it from bed. She had poured it earlier, with good intention, then forgot. The water waited patiently. No frustration, no urgency. She remembered a teaching on kindness. The Buddha spoke of gentleness toward oneself. Forgetfulness is human. She took a small sip, cool and refreshing, just enough. Sleep followed soon after, and the teaching whispered, care does not need perfection. Small kindness is enough. Story 57. The quiet laundry basket. The laundry basket stood empty, folded clothes already put away. A man noticed the space. It felt unfamiliar. Usually something waited there, something undone. The emptiness felt calm, not accusing, just open. He remembered a teaching on completion. The Buddha spoke of knowing when to stop, when effort has reached its end. He let the basket be empty, let himself be empty too. Sleep arrived gently, and the teaching rested quietly. Space is also a gift. Receive it. Story 58. The night breeze. A breeze entered through the window, cool and gentle. A woman felt it on her face. The day's heat released slowly. Tension followed. She remembered a teaching on impermanence. Nothing stays fixed. Even discomfort passes. She breathed with the breeze, letting it move through her. Sleep followed naturally, and the teaching drifted softly. Change brings relief. Trust the movement. Story 59. The lamp turned low. A lamp glowed at its lowest setting. Soft light pooling nearby. A man adjusted it carefully. Bright lights once felt necessary. Productivity demanded clarity. Even late at night. Tonight, dimness felt right. The body welcomed it. He remembered a teaching on gentleness. The Buddha spoke of easing the senses. Calm grows there. He lay back slowly, eyes closing without effort. Sleep came soon, and the teaching settled in the dark. Softness invites rest. Let the light fade. Story 60. The last breath before dreaming. The room held steady silence. A woman lay breathing quietly. One breath followed another. Thoughts thinned like mist, edges dissolving. She remembered a final teaching. Nothing needs holding. Nothing needs chasing. Breath softened. Awareness softened. Sleep arrived without boundary, and the teaching disappeared into rest. When you stop carrying the night carries you. Story 61. The desk cleared slowly. The desk was finally clear. Papers stacked neatly. Pens resting where they belonged. A man stood there quietly, hands on the edge of the desk, breath still uneven from the day. He had carried work home again. Thoughts followed him through dinner, even into the quiet evening hours. Clearing the desk had taken longer than planned, not because it was difficult, but because his mind kept wandering. He noticed that now, the wandering, the gentle resistance to stopping. He remembered a teaching from the Buddha. The mind, when tired, seeks motion. Stillness can feel unfamiliar at first. He ran his hand across the empty surface. Smooth, cool. The desk no longer asked anything of him. No reminders. No unfinished business. He turned off the lamp above it. Darkness settled without drama. The room felt wider. In bed later, his thoughts returned briefly to work, then softened again. The image of the clear desk remained. A simple signal. Enough has been done. And the teaching rested with him. Completion is not rushing. It is knowing when to stop. Story 62. The sound of ice in a glass. Ice clinked softly in a glass. A familiar evening sound. A woman held it carefully. She had poured water earlier, added ice without thinking. A small habit of comfort. The day had been long. Emotional weight lingered. Words said and unsaid. She listened to the ice settle, cracks forming gently. No urgency in the sound. She remembered a teaching on listening. The Buddha spoke of simple awareness, hearing without labeling. The sound brought her back, out of replayed conversations, into this quiet moment. She took a small sip, cool and grounding, enough to satisfy. The glass rested on the table, ice melting slowly, time softening its edges. In bed, sleep came with ease, and the teaching whispered, "Attend to what is here. The mind will follow." Story 63. The coat hung at last. A coat hung by the door, still warm from the body. A man adjusted it gently. The day had been cold, not just outside, inside too. Responsibilities weighed on him, providing, deciding. holding things together. The coat slipped from his shoulders, weight leaving with it, muscles releasing. He remembered a teaching on burden. The Buddha spoke of carrying only what is needed. Many weights are imagined. He stood without the coat, feeling lighter, more himself. The house felt quiet and accepting. No demands followed him inside. Later, under the covers, sleep arrived naturally, and the teaching settled in. You may set the armor down. The night does not require it. Story 64. The slow walk to the bedroom. The hallway was dim and familiar. A woman walked through it, slowly, each step unhurried. She often rushed this walk, mind already ahead, thinking of tomorrow. Tonight felt different. Her body asked for gentleness. Her breath guided the pace. She remembered a teaching on walking. The Buddha spoke of arriving with each step. No destination needed. Her feet touched the floor softly. The house seemed to breathe with her. By the time she reached the bed, her thoughts had quieted. The day felt farther away. Sleep came soon after, and the teaching remained. You arrive wherever you are. Slowly is enough. Story 65. The notebook closed for the night. A notebook lay beside the bed, pages filled with careful writing, plans, lists, reflections. A man considered opening it again. Just one more thought, one more improvement. His eyes felt heavy, the body already leaning toward rest. He remembered a teaching on moderation. The Buddha spoke of knowing the right time. Effort has its season. He closed the notebook gently, placed it out of reach. The mind resisted briefly, then softened. Sleep followed quietly, and the teaching whispered, "What matters will return tomorrow. Rest honors it." Story 66. The house after guests leave. The house felt different now. Chairs back in place, dishes washed and drying. A woman stood in the quiet, listening to the absence of voices, feeling both relief and sadness. Connection had been good, yet tiring. Holding space takes energy. She remembered a teaching on balance. The Buddha spoke of caring for oneself. After caring for others, she sat down slowly, let the silence settle. Later, sleep felt deep and kind, and the teaching remained. After giving, receive rest. It completes the circle. Story 67. The empty email inbox. The email inbox was empty for once. No unread messages, waiting. A man noticed the rare sight. He felt a small lift in his chest. Then suspicion. It would not last. He remembered a teaching on impermanence. The Buddha spoke of moments passing naturally. Clinging brings tension. He let the inbox be empty, without trying to preserve it. In bed, his mind stayed light, and the teaching rested gently. Enjoy what is present. Do not guard it. Story 68. The fan turned off. The fan hummed softly overhead. A woman reached up and turned it off. Silence followed. She listened to the quiet, not empty, full of subtle sounds. Her breath, the house settling. She remembered a teaching on subtle awareness. The Buddha spoke of noticing the small. Calm lives there. She lay still, letting the quiet hold her. Sleep arrived without effort, and the teaching whispered, "Silence is not absence. It is depth." Story 69. The last plate put away. The last plate slid into the cabinet. A soft sound, final and complete. A man stood in the kitchen, hands resting at his sides. The day winding down. He often hurried this moment, eager to escape the tasks, eager to be done. Tonight. He paused, noticing the satisfaction of finishing. He remembered a teaching on mindfulness. Even endings deserve attention. Later, sleep came easily, and the teaching remained. Honor what you complete, then let it go. Story 70. The darkness fully settled. The room was fully dark now. No light slipping through. Only quiet presence. A woman lay breathing gently. No effort. No expectation. Thoughts drifted like distant echoes, then faded. She remembered a final teaching. Release is not doing. It is allowing. The body softened completely. The mind followed. Sleep carried her onward, and the teaching dissolved into rest. When you allow the night, it knows what to do. Story 71. The warm mug between both hands. The mug was warm against his palms. Steam rose slowly, then vanished. A quiet moment before sleep. He sat at the small table. Lights dimmed low. House resting around him. The day had taken more than expected. Meetings that stretched too long. Decisions that felt heavier than necessary. Even now, his mind replayed small moments. Things he might have said differently. Things he wished he could undo. He noticed the warmth again. Simple. Steady. The Buddha once spoke of returning to the body, to simple sensation as refuge. Not escape, but grounding. He felt the mug, its gentle heat, its quiet offering. Breath slowed as attention settled. Thoughts lost their urgency. They no longer needed answers tonight. The tea cooled gradually. He did not rush it. Cooling had its own rhythm. When the mug was empty, he washed it slowly, then placed it upside down to rest. In bed, the warmth lingered in memory. Sleep came softly, and the teaching rested within him. Peace begins with what you can feel. Hold gently, then let go. Story 72. The sidewalk after rain. The sidewalk shone under streetlights. Rain had passed quietly. The night felt fresh and open. A woman walked slowly, hands in her pockets, steps unhurried. She had carried worry all day. Family concerns, money questions, old fears resurfacing. Rain had washed the air clean. The sidewalk reflected light calmly. Nothing looked as heavy now. She remembered a teaching on impermanence. The Buddha spoke of conditions changing. Suffering loosens when we see this. Her footsteps echoed softly. Each step felt complete. No need to rush home. The mind followed the rhythm. Thoughts softened. Concerns lost their sharp edges. By the time she reached her door, the day felt distant. In bed, sleep arrived easily, and the teaching remained. No feeling stays forever. Even heaviness learns to pass. Story 73. The drawer that finally closed. A drawer slid closed with a soft sound. No resistance this time. A man stood listening. He had reorganized it carefully. Old papers sorted. Unneeded things released. The drawer had been stuck for years. Too full. Too crowded. He noticed the similarity. His own mind often felt the same. Packed too tightly. The Buddha spoke of letting go, not as loss, but as freedom of movement. He opened the drawer once more, closed it again. Smooth. That smoothness stayed with him. A quiet satisfaction. Later, in bed, his thoughts moved more freely, and the teaching settled gently. Space allows ease. Release makes room for rest. Story 74. The phone charging overnight. The phone rested on the nightstand, charging quietly. Screen dark. A woman noticed the small icon earlier, battery low from the day, just like her. She had answered messages non-stop, gave attention everywhere, rarely paused. Now the phone rested. No notifications, no demands. She remembered a teaching on renewal. The Buddha spoke of caring for conditions. Energy returns when allowed. She placed the phone face down, dimmed the lamp. Her body followed the example, settling, recharging. Sleep came deeply, and the teaching remained. Rest restores what effort spends. Honor your own recharge. Story 75. The tree outside the bedroom. A tree stood outside the window, branches still in the night air, leaves barely moving. A man watched it quietly, the outline dark against the sky. The tree had seen many seasons, storms, heat, cold. It stood without complaint, not rushing growth, not resisting rest. He remembered a teaching on patience. The Buddha spoke of gradual understanding, nothing forced. The tree did nothing special tonight, yet it offered calm. Breath slowed, thoughts thinned, sleep arrived naturally, and the teaching whispered, growth includes stillness. Stand where you are. Story 76. The last light in the hall. One light remained on in the hallway, soft and dim. A woman noticed it from bed. She considered getting up, turning it off, then stopped. The light felt gentle, reassuring, not intrusive. She remembered a teaching on gentleness. The Buddha spoke of avoiding extremes. Not everything needs fixing. She let the light be, let herself be. Sleep followed quietly, and the teaching rested softly. Kindness sometimes means leaving things alone, including yourself. Story 77. The slow exhale. A man lay on his back, hands resting on his chest, breath moving gently. Inhale came easily. Exhale took longer. He noticed the difference, did not change it, just observed. The Buddha taught awareness of breathing, not control, just knowing. With each exhale, tension drained a little more. The body felt heavier, safer. Sleep arrived without effort, and the teaching dissolved. When you stop directing, the body knows the way. Story 78. The empty cupboard shelf. An empty shelf waited in the cupboard. Space left intentionally. A woman noticed it before bed. She had cleared it earlier, let go of unused things. The space felt strange at first, then peaceful. She remembered a teaching on non-clinging. The Buddha spoke of freedom in less. The shelf did not need filling. It simply existed. Later, sleep felt spacious too, and the teaching stayed. You do not need to fill every space. Some emptiness is kind. Story 79. The blanket pulled up slowly. A blanket was pulled up to the chin. Warmth spread gradually. A man sighed softly. The day had demanded resilience, strength, control. Now, the body softened. No defenses needed. He remembered a teaching on refuge. The Buddha spoke of safe places. Sometimes, they are simple. The blanket held him gently. Sleep followed soon after, and the teaching rested warmly. Safety can be felt. Allow it. Story 80. The night fully accepted. The night had fully arrived. No resistance remained, only quiet presence. A woman lay breathing, thoughts drifting, then dissolving. She remembered one last teaching. Acceptance is peace. Nothing more is required. The body relaxed completely. The mind followed. Sleep carried her gently onward, and the teaching disappeared into rest. When you accept the night, it becomes your teacher. The night is holding you now. Nothing else is needed. Your body knows this quiet well. It has been waiting for it. Breath moves softly in its own way. In, out. There is no need to follow it. No need to guide it. It knows the path home. Thoughts may still drift by. Let them pass like distant lights. You do not have to go with them. The day has already loosened its grip. Effort has gently set itself down. Even striving has grown tired. In the old teachings, rest is not something we do. It is something we allow. So allow the shoulders to sink. Allow the jaw to soften. Allow the mind to blur at the edges. Nothing important will be missed. Nothing meaningful will be lost. Sleep keeps what matters safe. You are allowed to disappear into rest. Just for a while. Just long enough. The night moves slowly around you. Patient. Unconcerned. Let it carry you now. Without thinking. Without holding on. If words fade, that is fine. If images dissolve, that is fine. Drifting is enough. May your rest be deep. May your heart feel lighter. May morning arrive gently. When it does, for now, there is only this softness, and you are already inside it.